I always tell people, you don't have to wait on, me or my program to expand. Go do something on your own. You could go do a workshop. If you know how to fix cars, go print you some flyers like I did when I first started out and go pass them out at some football practices, go to some churches, email them, put them at restaurants and start like that. That's how I started. I made some flyers on my phone. I went and printed them out at the library, and I went and passed them out at basketball practices, and I went and stapled them at restaurants and called churches and all that to try to get children to come out to the different workshops. That's what I did, to begin. So I just feel like if you do something, I call it the do something plan. If you do something, I believe the communities could change. If all of us decide to do one thing positive every day, I believe our communities will be in a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you say? I mean, what do you mean when you say we need to hold our leaders accountable?
Absolutely. Of course, we don't hold our leaders accountable to the point of, we'll vote for them, especially in my community. Like, we'll vote for somebody because, or they're blue or, like that. But I'm just like, did you even pay attention to the things that they said or any of their policies or anything that they've done, or are they doing anything, but we give them excuses because, they're Democrats, in my community. And I'm just like, why do you guys do that? Like, we can't give them any excuses. We can't just not listen to the other side just because of what we've been told, so we have to listen to the other side as well, but we don't hold our leaders accountable. We'll put them back. We've had commissioners here been in the commission seats since before I was born, and our communities are still trash, so I'm just like, why aren't we holding them accountable? This makes no sense. Why are we not voting for anybody else, or why isn't anybody else running? Like, it's absolutely absurd, seeing some of the conditions of our community and how we're not holding our leaders accountable. We have to, call them out. We have to vote them out. And if we do vote for them, we have to make sure we're holding them accountable.
Hey there, welcome back to American Snippets. I'm your co-host, Barb Allen. Very blessed to be sitting down today with our amazing guest who has done more to impact his community and his country, no lie, than most career politicians or most people themselves will ever do. For the past 2 years, he has been mentoring and even fostering at-risk boys in his own community. He opened up his home and his heart all to provide for, care for, support, mentor, lead, nurture, and step in and be that person that he saw these boys needing in their lives. And this is his solution to a problem that he saw and wanted to do more than just talk about. He's so passionate and impactful. This guy has even managed to do what I think a lot of us would think is impossible, in that he has managed to win the hearts and support of Americans across the board. Americans who can agree on virtually nothing agree on the fact that today's guest is an amazing human being who, in spite of just being just that, a human being just like the rest of us, has risen above the infallibilities of being a human to do extraordinary things in his own life. So you might have seen him on CNN or Fox or other platforms. But today, you get to meet him right here on American Snippets. Say hello to King Randall. King, thank you so very much for all you do and for making today American Snippets part of what you do.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity for being here. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so great. I'm going to turn the volume off of my phone. We just got to keep it real. Oh, I got my timer going. Dave just shot me a dirty look. See, we're all human. We all got mistakes. We got to rise above it, right? So look, let's get right to it so we get everything in that we can get in our time slots. I see in part of your profile, I see you often mentions that you're also a Marine Corps veteran. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're 21 years old, right?
Yes.
You're 21 years old. You're a Marine Corps veteran. You have taken in children in your community and mentored them, fostered them. You just bought 40 acres to do extraordinary things with these. You're trying to get them to school, and you're 21. Dude,
yes.
At what point did the Marine Corps come into your life?
Immediately after high school. I graduated when I was 17 years old. So it came in immediately after high school. I turned 22 this July. So it'll be about 5 years ago now. Yeah. So, but I turned 22 this July. So that was a very big part of my life. I didn't enjoy all of it, but it also made for great memories and good teaching opportunities for me too. So a lot of the ways that I discipline the children in my program, et cetera, all come from things that I learned and habits that I developed while I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, no doubt. What led you to that decision to join the Marines?
Well, my best friends were going. I had about four best friends at the time. They all signed up. I was just like, you know what? I'll go too. So we all just went. I mean, I didn't, just I didn't have nothing else to do. I was working at Chick-fil-A and I was just like, well, ain't nothing else to do, so might as well go.
That's awesome. That's a look. Yeah, I got nothing else to do. Maybe I'll go down to the river and have some beers is more usually what you hear. Not like I got nothing else to do. Let me join the Marines. But good on you.
Yeah.
Good on you. How long did you stay in the Marine Corps?
I served for 4 years.
Wow. 20, almost 22 years old. You got 4 years in the Marine Corps service. You are now a father of two, which congratulations is super awesome.
Thank
And
you.
you're a father figure to so many more. So, I mean, I feel like already I could keep you on for hours, but clearly we can't. So let's
Yep.
get into the important work that you are doing today. Talk about your organization and all that you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, my name is King Randall. I'm the founder of the X for Boys program in Albany, Georgia. We help young men learn the different skill trades, such as working on cars, working on houses, such as water pumps, radiators, brakes, oil changes. We also do sheetrocking and flooring and changing light fixtures, roofing, etc., fences, you name it. We've done many different things trying to get the boys into learning different skill trades. We've also done many different field trips for our young men where I live. Where we live, poverty is extremely high. So a lot of our children, and we also have adults who've never been outside of our city limits. So we try to take them on different field trips, going out of state. We fly them across the country. We do big road trips, to different places because we try to get them these experiences. But now we're in the process of opening our own boarding school here in Albany, Georgia, just for children who don't have any place to sleep. We don't have any other rehabilitative programs for young men coming from the juvenile justice system where we live. The X for Boys being the only program in Southwest Georgia having a rehabilitative program from juvenile offenders. So we have a lot of children right now in waiting for our school to open. I do have custody of two children from the program that live at my home from the juvenile justice system. We have a 0% recidivism rate. Every child that's come to our program from jail has never been back. So these are things I like to tout because the program's working. We have an 86% reading comprehension rate coming from children that didn't know how to read at all. So this is, we're making good progress. We have many different things that we've been doing, many different things that we have to do in the future. But that's kind of an idea of, who we are and what the X for Boys is all about.
Yeah, seriously. So I've seen in some of the stuff that you put out that there can be some misconceptions about what you do or the results you're going to get and the time that it's going to take to get these results. So let's get ahead of that too for people who may already be thinking, yeah, but that's, or think it's impossible, like as if you're promoting like you're flipping a switch and all of a sudden everything is magically better. Talk about the real process that it takes.
Absolutely. I might have to explain to people, who kind of think that the children are going to come in the program and they're going to change, overnight or change in a week. Or if they bring them to two book clubs, or one workshop, they're going to change their life. I'm like, that's not how this works. It took them 14 or 15 years to get this way, so I'm just like, maybe you have to understand it's going to take some time and consistency and bringing them constantly. And, sometimes I do with parents saying, well, he doesn't want to come, to this event or whatever like that. I'm just like, sometimes you have to not give them a choice. Stop trying to be their friend and understand, what's good for them, because then finally after, something happens or something hits the fan, you want to call and say, oh, Mr. King, he's doing this and that. I'm like, well, Mom, you haven't brung him in 5 months, to any of the different programs. Now you want to call me when he's starting to play with guns or his grades are all F's and all that. I'm like, you can't do that. You have to bring them consistently, no matter if they want to come or not. This is something they have to, get in their system. So the changes that some of my boys have made, it's come over a year and a half, 2 years, and they're still changing as the days go by. Some may change in a few months. Some may change in 2 years. I'm still working on them. Been working on them for 3 years and I'm still trying to get them there. So it takes time, it takes consistency, but it takes love as well. And you have to be able to be, as a person, consistent with wanting to help the children. So patience is a virtue in working with these children.
Has it ever come to a point, do you get to a point where all the kids that come to your program or come into contact with you, is there a point where you have to step back and know that you've done all you can do and step away, or they step away, or, what is that like for you if that does happen? If you've poured everything that you have into helping this child, but for whatever reason, they step away from the program, or the parents pull them away, or something blocks it.
I feel like I can help every child that comes into contact with me. So if there's something that I feel like if the child is just not changing, I am trying to figure out what am I missing or what am I not giving to, this child to help him change. So I'm looking at myself and trying to figure out what can I do, come up with new ideas, etc. all the time, because I'm just like, something is going to change him. He's not changeable, so we're going to figure it out because he's just a child. So I'm like, we could figure something out. Their brains are still sponges, and the decision-making part of your brain is not developed until you turn 25. So I'm just like, there's something I could do to help this child. So let me figure out what I could do to help, and what I could do to, fix this process. So yeah, I don't feel like there's any child I can't help. I just try to figure out in what ways can I do that, in whatever child it may be.
Awesome. So how do you do that? Because everything I've seen of you, and even like I was just talking to you before we started recording, you have this amazing energy that just comes right through, and the work you're doing and the results are just extraordinary. And you are just getting started, but you are also a human being. You're a human being, and you're still young compared to a lot of people. So you have to have days where you struggle a little bit, or just literally the fact that you are not a machine, you are not a superhero. Like, what are some things that you do when you hit a point where you're just like tired and needing a break so you can recharge and come back?
I go take a nap. I go take a good nap. I may go take a drive somewhere. Sometimes I have to drive around my city. Like sometimes when I'm just, not in a good mood or, feeling down, I just drive. I go drive in circles around my city, listen to music, come up with new ideas. I do that. But I don't usually get out of energy because I have the children with me every day. So, they're my energy sometimes. Plus, I'm 21. I feel like if I can work now, and play later, I think that's a big thing, because we have this misconception that we need to be playing now and working later. Like everybody, enjoy your 20s, enjoy. I want to work now. So when I do turn 35 and my back starts hurting, I don't have to do as much, but people want to start working when you get old and your back's hurting and you got a slip disc and your knees hurting. And I'm like, that's not when you want to work. You want to relax at that time, so I'm trying to work now. I'm trying to do as much as I can now. I bought a house, I have my own vehicle, I do things now. So later on, when I can retire early and, relax. And I built, stuff for my grandkids and things like that. I tell my boys all the time to work for your grandchildren. That's something I stress to them all the time. Work for your grandchildren, because you want to set them up for a better life than you had. And that's how I think everybody should think. But yeah, I take breaks, I'll travel somewhere or I'll drive around my city, take a nap, or just go talk to the boys, and get more energy. But yeah, I don't really have like so many days when I'm out of it because I'm still young and my energy's exploding right now. So I use that to my advantage and work.
Yeah. Awesome. Is there a program that you know of that is comparable for girls in your area or in the country?
Well, I don't know about in the country. I don't know every program that's out there. I'm sure
that you know of.
Yeah. I said, now I know there was this one program where I lived where they taught girls, etiquette and, what type of conversations you have at the table, how to sit, all
that's
that
not comparable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to me, that is, because those are things grandma taught, like your sisters or whatever. Like, I believe what grandma taught is just as important as what granddad taught. Grandma teaching, the young lady how to skin the fish and cook it at home after granddad went and fished for it.
Right.
Those are things I believe are just as important. And I think the woman's job, even though people try to make it seem so simple, it's the hardest job, because she got to mother the children. She got to cook. She got to be emotional support. This, that is all these jobs, that she has to do. I think that job is harder than ours, because we can go out and, go fish and, go hunt for food but it's a whole nother job. We got to help the kids with homework. You got to make sure the bills are paid and, just all of that stuff, So I think small things like that, are important, that, younger girls, learn from their grandmothers, growing up. And so the things that I learned from my granddad, I wouldn't say that, just because I'm not teaching a girl how to, fix a car. I don't do that because I don't believe girls should be fixing cars. I believe we should have men in those areas.
Oh, so you have old fashioned. You have old fashioned. You're an old soul. You go with
I had granddads and stuff.
Okay.
I had granddads and uncles and all that. Yeah, so we was cowboys and stuff. Like my granddad, like I know people saw our 40 acres of land video and have a cowboy hat on and stuff. They was like, "What you wearing a cowboy?" I was like, "That's how I grew up, man. I got the boots, the hats. My granddads are straight cowboys, but we grew up learning how to, fish and skin animals and all that stuff. So that's what we did, But I
Okay.
think those things are just as important as grandma, teaching her granddaughter how to sit or what conversation she has, at the table, or those things are extremely important. Just family in general. That village is important.
So you have a very traditional, stereotypical mindset of girls do this
Yeah,
and
very
boys do
traditional.
that. Okay. All right. That's
Yep.
interesting given the age bracket. Okay. So I wanted to move into here. I would like to do a for example with you so I get a better feel for it and our audience gets a better feel for it too. I
Okay.
was 32 years old. My husband was killed in Iraq. I had 4 little boys. They were 6'5", 3 and 1. And I know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what it's like when you talk about the men needing the male role models. And I remember feeling like I wasn't enough. Like they definitely needed, like I couldn't do this. They deserve more. So I had all these feelings, which that's a whole other topic. But if I had called you at that time and said, King, this is my story. I live in your area. I got these 4 little boys, and I know that they were very, very young, probably younger than you work with. But if we need to bump up their ages for this example, then let's bump them up. But what is the process for a mom who calls you and says, "King, this is my story. My husband is dead, or he's in jail, or whatever. Like, but I'm on my own with these kids, and I need your help. Like, what is the onboarding? What are the requirements? What do you expect of the mom? Is there an income threshold? Like all those things."
So the program is free. I try to make sure everything that we do is free for the children. So for a situation like that, usually I like to do temporary boarding with me because those things are extremely important. Now I haven't been doing temporary boarding right now because we're trying to get the school and stuff situated, and I have a lot of things, coming together for the summer program and things like that. But for that time, I don't really have any requirements as long as the children, coming from jail haven't like murdered anybody or something like that. I don't care for any requirements because I believe I've had children with autism and different mental disorders, and I've been able to work with all of them. Again, I don't think there's a child that I can't fix or work with. So that's just what I do. But yeah, I would say something probably in regards to temporary boarding, to keep them for a while, or as how consistent could they be in coming to the different workshops, coming to our different book clubs, etc. Do they need a ride? Just what can I do to help, them become a part of the program, a lot more, because it takes time, it's going to take a minute, and then trying to, emotionally move them, to a place where they're okay with, their father being gone or whatever. Like they have to move to that area. I've dealt with children who lost their parents and things like that, but we have to life has to go on. Of course there's a time for grieving, and of course you're still going to grieve sometime here and there, but we have to understand, well, your dad would have wanted you to keep moving, and not, wallow in defeat. We have to, move forward. But I would, there's no requirements. They do have like process, filling out paperwork, allergies, giving me permission to take pictures, just little small stuff like that.
Yes.
But other than that, no, there are like no requirements. I take every child that I come into contact with, white, black, Hispanic, whatever. So I take every child, and I just try to tailor, the program to what their needs are when I'm working with them directly.
Bam, there's no hole, there's no crack. Like you just do everything, you do it all. That's amazing. Are you thinking of far ahead down the road? Like, is this something that you would like to have chapters of across the country? Or are you just like, I'm in Georgia, this is where I am. Is that, I'm putting air quotes, good enough for you? Because I mean, that's still huge, but you know what I'm saying? Like, are you looking to spread this across the country? Or are you just like, this is my area, this is where I am, and this is where I'm staying?
Of course, eventually I wish to expand. I wish to, spread out eventually. However, I want to make sure we're solely focused on where I live right now. I want to make sure we're grounded here. We're working here and the children are changing here. That's something I believe is extremely important because we do have many, celebrities that have come from where I live and they never return because of, the living conditions. But I'm just like, why would I leave the community in the same condition that I found it? So I'm big on trying to make sure I'm training these replacements and making sure we don't go through this same cycle, again, with the poverty and having no money and the broke beat down buildings and all of that stuff. That stuff is extremely important in my opinion. So I definitely want to make sure we're grounded here first. We're working here first, expand around our local area in Georgia first, and then of course eventually spread across the country. So it'll be a little process, but I always tell people, you don't have to wait on, me or my program to expand. Go do something on your own. You could go do a workshop. If you know how to fix cars, go print you some flyers like I did when I first started out and go pass them out at some football practices, go to some churches, email them, put them at restaurants and start like that. That's how I started. I made some flyers on my phone. I went and printed them out at the library, and I went and passed them out at basketball practices, and I went and stapled them at restaurants and called churches and all that to try to get children to come out to the different workshops. That's what I did, to begin. So I just feel like if you do something, I call it the do something plan. If you do something, I believe the communities could change. If all of us decide to do one thing positive every day, I believe our communities will be in a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you say? I mean, what do you mean when you say we need to hold our leaders accountable?
Absolutely. Of course, we don't hold our leaders accountable to the point of, we'll vote for them, especially in my community. Like we'll vote for somebody because, or they're blue or, like that. But I'm just like, did you even pay attention to the things that they said or any of their policies or anything that they've done, or are they doing anything, but we give them excuses because, oh, they're Democrats, in my community. And I'm just like, why do you guys do that? Like, we can't give them any excuses. We can't just not listen to the other side just because of what we've been told, so we have to listen to the other side as well, but we don't hold our leaders accountable. We'll put them back. We had commissioners here been in the commission seats since before I was born, and our communities are still trash, so I'm just like, why aren't we holding them accountable? This makes no sense. Why are we not voting for anybody else, or why isn't anybody else running? Like, it's absolutely absurd, seeing some of the conditions of our community and how we're not holding our leaders accountable. We have to, call them out. We have to vote them out. And if we do vote for them, we have to make sure we're holding them accountable.
Nice. What do you see as being some of America? What we do here is at American Snippets, we focus a lot on America's core values. That's why we're here. That's why we bring people like you on who exemplify what we have identified as America's core values. But what do you feel like America's core values are, and what should they be?
I go back to my Marine Corps core values: honor, courage, and commitment. That's just something I believe anybody could live their lives by. Any man, honor, courage, and commitment. So I think all those look like to me, helping your community, protecting your women and children, making sure everybody has a way out, and helping everyone. I believe, if everybody could be a family, because I don't see why how can somebody next door to you be hungry and you know about it and they don't have food, and I got food, I say if I'm hungry, everybody's hungry. If they didn't eat, I didn't eat. That's how I look at it. I want to make sure everybody's, helped. Like the other day, I went to get my car washed because somebody posted this guy on Facebook. He was washing cars. And so I went there to get my car washed, and the guy, he had an ankle monitor on, and he had one rag, and he had some dishwashing detergent, but he washed the cars immaculately. Like, it was great. So I went to Walmart. I went and bought him a shop vac. I went and bought him all the wax and stuff and the tire shine and all that goodness or whatever for him to get started, because he's stuck at home. Obviously, he just got out of jail, so, but he's doing something honest, so I'm just like, well, let me help him. I went and promoted him on my Facebook page and stuff like that. And I do good deeds all the time. And I don't talk about my good deeds at all. However, I had to talk about that because he needs business, of course. So of course he sent people there to get their car washed and stuff like that. And it was beautiful. But things like that are exemplify honor, courage, and commitment, because you're committed to making your community better and not judging people and things like that. I just feel like those three core values are extremely important in regards to, working with our community, making our community better, and seeing our community become a better place.
Nice. What would be your response to somebody who pushes back against anything that you're doing, saying that it's pointless, or gives you reasons why they could never, King, I see what you're doing, but I can't do that because you're different than me?
Well, I always tell people it doesn't have to start off, gigantic, or you don't have to be doing some, major program. I always tell them you can go give $1 to that homeless person that you never give $1 to sometime, or you could go and find a family to feed once a week. Just small things like that could make the community better. Because if everybody was doing that, it'd be a better place. And for people who give me pushback, I don't really respond to any negativity at all. I have a lot of people, even in my hometown, that don't like me genuinely for no reason at all. But people have their things to say. But I always say you could disagree with me or disagree with my methods, but you can't dispute the work. You can't dispute the results at all.
Nice. So what do you say to somebody then who is kind of struggling to find their purpose or find that the thing that fulfills them? Because you have such certainty and such conviction in your voice when you're speaking, and the follow through is really unmatchable, I think, from anyone else. So what words of advice like do you give to your kids who come to you and are just struggling to find that focus? Or, there's a lot of frustration attached to feeling like you don't understand what you're here for or what your life means or what your purpose is. So what are some words that you would give to one of your kids who comes to you and you can see that frustration in them? Like they just feel like their life doesn't matter, like nothing they're doing is going to matter.
Right. Well, I always say, with all thy getting, get understanding. That's a scripture. And I definitely feel like there's a process in discovering, what you're here to do and what you're here for. And that also comes with trials and tribulations, because some people are scared to try things. And I'm always saying, try anything, and I have this thing where I make my boys get rid of their fear. It's just about every child I come into contact with is scared of snakes. My manager owns 2 snakes. The first trial they have to go through is going to hold those snakes because it removes that fear. I'm just like, no, we'll drag it out. They'll cry, whatever. I'm like, no, you're going to hold the snakes. You're going to hold them. And they hold them. It's just like, oh, okay. Now they play with them all the time and stuff like that. I'm like, but I have to remove that fear of failure or fear of dying or fear of whatever. I have to remove that from you. Of course, there's a healthy fear, to keep yourself alive. However, you have to be able to control situations, because if you're afraid and you panic, you die. I learned that, in Marine Corps, panicking gets you dead. You have to be able to have bearing and figure out what it is that you're doing. So I definitely feel like, for people who don't know their purpose and things like that, I always say, try things. You don't know what it is. Like even trying food that you may think is nasty or whatever. I learned that in culinary school. You have to try things. You have to try many different things. You're going to fail sometimes, but you'll finally figure it out. After you try things. If you don't try anything, you will never know what you're here for, because you're not doing anything. You have to do something.
Nice. All right. One of the last questions I'll ask you before we have to wrap this up is another reason we started American Snippets is a couple years ago when we saw this assault on America's core values and patriotism, and a lot of people beginning to preach their version of the truth about the American dream is that it doesn't exist or that it's only available for certain people. And we just saw the American dream, the concept of that, the belief in that level of achievability to be attacked and tarnished. So that's why we bring stories of people who prove the opposite. But the key is we understand that the American dream is not one cookie cutter concept, that every single person has their own version of what that dream is. And we feel that's where the actual beauty lies. So we like to ask our guests, and I'd like to ask you, what is your version of your own American dream?
I know that the traditional American dream is, having your family, retiring on time, and having a house and kids or whatever. I definitely see my American dream just changing the city of Albany, where I live. This is a city where Dr. King, said he'd never return to because of the mindset of the people here. Dr. King came through here, W.E.B. Du Bois, a lot of our leaders, have come through our city, but our city is almost like a failure to everybody. But one thing I love is that people who are finding out about Albany, Georgia, are finding out about us in a good light because of what I'm doing and what we're doing in the program. But I think my American dream is fixing my community where I live, and that's Albany, Georgia. I believe, we can remove this black cloud that's over our city that's always having us failing and everything. We're number one in the murder rate at one time. We're the 4th poorest city in the country. Even when COVID hit, we were like 3rd in the world for, just the hot spots. Like we were right under Wuhan. This small town, Albany, Georgia, who's on this big national map, it's nuts. We have everything bad that happens here. I'm just like, we're going to change that narrative ourselves. I believe if we're going to change something in our community, we have to do it ourselves.
I love that. Love that. So look, Albany, Georgia is very blessed to have you in their community. We should all become more like you in our own communities. But what can people do who listen to the show, who catch this story, who learn about you? How can we reach out and support you and your work in your community?
Absolutely. All of my social media handles are New Emerging King. You can also go to our website to find those at thexforboys.org. That's THE, the letter X, FORBOYS.org. You can go there to get merchandise. You can go see our gallery of things that we've done, things that I've taught, trips that we've been on, etc. You can also go there to see how to donate, how to volunteer, etc. And somebody will reach out to you. But everything's on the xforboys.org. If you can't find either of those, you can just go on Google and type in the X for Boys. If you can't find us there, I don't know what else to tell you.
All right, great. And do you have any last thoughts that, or messages or events or news that you want to share with our community before we go?
Absolutely. I end every podcast show or wherever I go on with the same quote from one of our local hometown rappers. His name is Cantrell. He says, obstacles are optical illusions. They're not really there. Jump high anyway. Jump high just in case.
Awesome. We love it so much, King. Thank you so very much for taking the time to sit down with us today. Thank you for the work you do. I'm excited to introduce you to our community, to have introduced you to our community, and I can't wait to see what the feedback is. Please feel free to reach out if there's anything down the road that we can do directly to support you as well.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.